Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today I'm representing group 13 is going to present our product which is cocoa powder. For the introduction, sanitation is focused on the environment surrounding the food to prevent contamination, while HACCP is controlling hazard intrinsic to food materials. Satya Budi ETL 1997. GMP program is to produce high-quality food with a lower count of deteriorating microorganisms and food that are safe from public health standpoint. Oliveira et al. 2016. Manzini and Accorsi on 2013 stated that food are perishable items where their shelf life and quality may be altered due to several factors such as temperature, light, humidity, mechanical static, and dynamic stress. I'm going to explain more about cocoa. Cocoa, Theobroma cacao L, is a native species of tropical humid forest on the lower eastern equatorial slopes of the Andes in South America. Cocoa is the key ingredient in chocolate and chocolate confection. Processed cocoa bean produce fluid, paste, or liquor which cocoa powder and chocolate are made. Cook and Sing on 2018. Cocoa powders, chocolate liquor, and blend of both are used in bulk to give flavor for various food products and to provide the flavor in chocolate products such as syrups, toppings, chocolate milk, and pharmaceuticals. I'm going to present to the next part of this presentation, which is factory information. For factory information, it is divided into three, which is production process, layout design, and packaging. Now, I'm going to explain more about the production process. Cocoa powder production includes 8 main steps, which are cleaning, roasting, winnowing, grinding, milling, alkalinization, pressing, and grinding. Caligiani et al. 2016. To produce cocoa powder, the cocoa liquor will undergo pressing process, either mechanical or hydraulic press. This pressing process is performed at 400 to 500 bar and at temperature between 19 to 100 Celsius. Caligiani et al. 2016. Cocoa butter that was obtained from pressing process will be separated from cocoa cake and being filtered, then will be used in chocolate production. In order to get cocoa powder, the cocoa cake must undergo grinding process again to produce small particles of the cocoa which called as cocoa powder. Here in figure 2.0, you can see the flow chart of the cocoa powder production. Figure 2.1, you can see the machines used in the production of cocoa powder. China Pacific Trading 2020. First, there is cocoa bean roasting, and it is followed by cooling cart, and next is cocoa bean peeling, and then cocoa nibs grinding, then it is hydraulic press machine, and followed by crushing machine, and next is fine cocoa powder grinding, and lastly it is cocoa powder packing. Now I'm going to explain about the second part of the factory information, which is layout design. Layout of plant design is involved a few streams in parallel with equipment that will be complete in packaging lines with palletizing and transport packaging. Haver and Becker ND. This design is very suited for the cocoa powder production as stream in parallel can prevent from cross-contamination between the raw ingredients and the finished products. Besides from the flow of the cocoa powder production by streams in parallel, location of the source of water also very important in the layout design of the cocoa powder production, SLSIM ETL 2016. This is because water is used in the combination of cocoa nibs and alkalizing agent such as potassium carbonate. In figure 2.2, you can see the layout design of the cocoa powder production, Hever and Boker ND. I'm going to the last part of the factory information, which is the packaging of cocoa powder. There are two. For the packaging of cocoa powder, it is divided into two types, which is valve bags and open mouth bags. First, I'm going to explain more about the valve bags. Advantage by using valve bags are easy to be handled, can produce high outputs, good working accuracies, and compact bake shapes with high advertising impact. There are three closures for the valve bags that can be applied, which are self-seal, heat seal, and ultrasonic seal. All these sealing techniques are used to prevent from loss of product particles from the filled bag. Hever and Boker ND. The, the second type of the packaging cocoa powder is open mouth bags. Benefits of this bag are it contains some features such as can open and reclose bag at the closure of the bags, optimum product protection, and improved storage and high advertising impact. This open closure can be sealed either by folding, gluing, and sewing. Open and reclose feature can grant with good product protection due to convenient bag closure practice such as folding, welding, or hot melt activation.
Now I will explain about material handling. Material handling is an activity that uses the right amount to provide the right amount of the right material at the right place, at the right time, in the right sequence, in the right position, and at the right cost. The system is responsible for transporting material between the workstation. The function performed by material handling equipment can be classified into four broad categories, which is transport, positioning, unit, formation, and storage. For consideration in material handling system design, first is spills product for preventing spills in important when handling wet cocoa powder, primarily due to the expense of waste product and cleaned up. Next is environment of the product, store in right place with the right temperature and avoid direct sunlight. The third one is handling with powder's final product. Cocoa powder that's trapped in the filter media can be returned to the receiving hopper by pneumatic pulse through filter. There is 9 equipment for material handling. First is after cooler units, small bag filling system, bulk bag filling system, blowers, booster fan, cooling units, dust extractor, heat extractor, and lastly is silos. This is the example for system and component used in the cocoa cake cooling process. So next is about the process flow of material handling. We started off with raw material supplier, transportation, receiving at store, storing, manufacturing or fabrication units, flow of parts, to assembly line, testing and packaging, shipping, warehouse, dealers or consumers, and end with disposal or. The next part I will brief you about HACCP in cocoa powder production. Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point or HACCP is a management system used in the food industry to precautionary measure the safety of food through the analysis and control of biological, chemical, physical hazard from raw material handling, production, manufacturing, storing until distribution and finish. There are 7 HACCP principles and will be explained more in the further slides. As for the first step is to conduct hazard analysis. The HACCP HACCP are conducted to reduce, eliminate, and control the critical hazard to produce safe to consume final product from foodborne analysis. Next step is identification of CCP. The critical points are selected based on decision tree, where there are 4 questions for each step need to be answered. To choose which step must do further prevention or HACCP to secure, eliminate, and reduce the critical hazard in the product. These are the 4 stages of CCP. Consists of sortation of cocoa, sortation of wet cocoa pods, drying step, and last but not least is roasting. So third step of the HACCP principle is establish critical limit. Fourth is establish system to monitor control of the CCP. Establish correction action to be taken when monitoring indicates a CCP is not under control as the 5th step. And the 6th step is to establish procedure for verification to confirm that the HACCP system is working effectively. Here is the table that concludes for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th step for HACCP. From the hazard plan, the documentation is the final step of HACCP to records and make sure the plan are up to date. The document of HACCP file consists of critical limit monitoring logs, testing and calibration logs, corrective action logs, and verification logs. This document is important when inspectors come to the manufacturing and processing line need to be examined.
Okay, next we move on to pest and control. Okay, so as we all know, pests can cause a wide variety of diseases to human and also physical degradation of ingredient and processed item by their drops, shed hair and feathers, body parts, nesting material and also broken packaging. So the number of pests present in the food processing usually depends on the environment, the terrain and also food additive process. Okay, so in different location, there are different types of pests involved. Firstly, in processing plant, the pests involved is usually cockroach and flies. So there are 3 types of cockroaches in processing plant, which are German cockroaches, American cockroach, and also Oriental cockroach. Okay, so as we all know, cockroach usually prefer dark area with the right temperature and humidity. So to solve this problem, we have to use the licensed insecticide, sprays, aerosol, dust and bait. But the licensed insecticide usually require competent and skilled staff to use them. Okay, next, flies. There are 2 types of flies, which are fruit flies, drain flies and also house flies. Okay, so these flies usually attracted to the back order in the food manufacturing plant. Okay, so to solve this problem is by the implementation of standard hygiene practices, which we have to keep away from the deterioration condition, and also to ensure that the processing area and machinery are washed and tested daily. Okay, so the most important thing is we have to dispose garbage frequently for at least twice a week in a hot climate. Okay, next is in stored area. Usually the pests involved is moth, beetle and weevil. So the solution is by the implementation of regular quality control procedures in the supply chain of the management of manufacturers, distribution providers, incoming imports, raw material and many more. Okay, lastly for the harbour area, usually the pest infestation involved is rats and mice. Okay, so to solve this problem, we can block several entrance points such as holes, vent, pipe, tubes and many more. And we can also use traps and pesticide in compliance with the food production standards and regulation. Okay, lastly for waste disposal. So what is waste? Waste is something that is no longer useful or needed and have to be disposed of. So bring powder. Firstly is solid waste, which are cocoa pod husk, cocoa bean shell, and packaging and papers. And the other types is liquid waste, which are crude pulp juice, and also other liquid waste. For solid waste, firstly the cocoa pod husk represent 67 to 76% of the cocoa fruit weight, include endocarp, mesocarp, and epicarp. So it is the major source of solid waste in cocoa drink powder industry. Secondly, the cocoa bean shell. Cocoa bean shell represent 10 to 17% of the total cocoa bean weight. It is because the only thing that is used from the cocoa bean is the cocoa seed nib. Okay, lastly for solid waste is packaging and papers. The packaging and papers is usually because of the because in the farm before the cocoa bean is transferred for the next processing, it is usually packed in a sack or bulk bag for the first layer of packaging. So after they are transferred into the factory for other processing, they are thrown away. Okay, next, the packaging also include the cardboard box, which are used for second layer of the packaging. Next is the liquid waste. Liquid waste consists of cocoa pulp juice and other liquid waste. Firstly, cocoa pulp juice is represent 5 to 7% of cocoa weight. It is the residue during the process of mechanical extraction of cocoa seed, and it is also known as sweating, which are the product of the fermentation process. Okay, so other liquid waste. Liquid waste also include the water that is used in toilet, sink, and operation of cleaning the machinery. Okay, so water is very important to maintain the sanitation of the equipment and work environment. So the water that has been used for the cleaning process and sanitation process are also classified as the liquid waste. Okay, so different waste will have different type of disposing method. Okay, so the disposing method consists of 4 types, which is incineration, sanitary landfill, recycling, and also proper plumbing and underground sewage. Firstly, incineration. Incineration is involving the process of combustion of organic substance present in the waste material that will produce heat, flue gas, and ash that are released into the atmosphere. Okay, so the combustion process must always follow the good combustion practice, GCP, which the temperature should be above at 150 degrees Celsius for more than 2 seconds with adequate air supply in order to prevent the formation of dioxin and carbon monoxide. Okay, next is sanitary landfill. Sanitary landfill is where the waste will be separate and compact into layers by covering with soil, typically 6-inch deep in the selected site. Okay, so sanitary landfill is very different with the usual landfill, where there are usually problems that associate with open dumps. Okay, so the selection of site is very important so that we can prevent the problems of leaking of leachate that will occur after the rainfall and which will cause pollution to the surrounding. Next, recycling. Recycling is the other best alternative to reduce health hazard and also reduce the environmental pollution that comes from the factory. Okay, so recycling can be divided into 2 groups, which are primary recycling and secondary recycling. Okay, so research has been done before. They found that the cocoa fruit waste can be used to manufacture animal feeds and also alcohol beverages after several treatment has been done. Okay, lastly, proper plumbing and underground sewage. Okay, so as I said before, that liquid waste also include the water that is used in toilet, in sink, and also for the cleaning purpose. So before the liquid waste is disposed into the environment, it is very important to do some degree of treatment to protect the public health and also environment quality. Okay, so the treatment can be divided into 3 groups, which are primary treatment, secondary or biological treatment, And lastly, the tertiary or advanced treatment. Okay, so firstly, the primary treatment usually involve the processing of filtration, sedimentation, and dewatering to separate the solid from liquid waste before they are disposed into the environment. Okay, then a good plumbing system is also very important in order to prevent the problem related to plumbing and underground sewage, which can cause food contamination. In conclusion, in every food industry or manufacturing of food, the most important thing is food safety. If the manufacturer fail to comply with food safety standard, it will lead to contaminated product and cause problem if it has entered the market. Okay, so the process of maintaining the safety of food is very important for success of food manufacturing and also to ensure the consumer health. Okay, so the sanitation, HACCP, GMP are the quality management tools that have been used for product traceability and also food safety assurance.